shilling, bought and paid for. Apparently, I work for all of these manufacturers. Let's talk about how it really works in today's Tech Therapy. Up next.
I've seen things people wouldn't.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. I am here with my partner in crime and apparently my coworker, Stop the Fomo. Fomo, what's up?
Hello, Shill.
I know you are, but what am I?
This discussion is long in coming, my friend.
And it's one that I know you and I have talked about actually the last couple of years. And
yes,
we never wanted to do it in a defensive way, simply because it's not a defensive subject. That's not something we're going to approach it. I think it's going to be a fun conversation. It's one that comes up from our communities. There's questions. And I know we'll give plenty of examples about when we're considered that, depending on what TV we're looking at and which one we're a fan of at the moment. And we'll talk about fans and bias and things of that nature. But I definitely want to do this video or this conversation before the TV year starts. Tech Therapy, that's what I do here. This is not a review. This will be a long... Oh, there's an ambulance coming. Let me mute myself. Hold on.
Oh.
I'm not going to edit it out either. There's real time, baby. Real time.
Hey, in the meantime, you're muting. I'm going to give you guys a definition of what a shill is, so we're all on the same page. A shill is someone who pretends to be an enthusiastic customer, but is really an accomplice. So if you post a review online of your best friend's terrible taxi service, you're a shill. To speak favorably because you are paid to do it, even though what you're saying really is untrue. So there's a lot to unpack here. Because a couple of things are mentioned. You're speaking favorably on the one hand, you're being paid to do it, but then that item is actually not so favorable. So what happens if you're speaking favorably about something that really is favorable and you're paid to do it? I guess you're still a shill, or is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, taxi service, what year was that definition created?
I know. I pulled this
drawn cabbage. Okay. But again, the reason I want to do it now is, again, before the TVs come out, we're doing a lot of discussion-based content right now. And then for the both of our channels, you guys follow us, and I appreciate you guys being here. We both really appreciate it. But once the TVs come out, we're full throttle. So these discussions will be probably more TV-based. But we do joke about this, and there's plenty of times where I wanted to talk about it because I get accused of that. Basically, anytime I film anything. Fomo recently got accused of hating affordable large TVs. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's go into less shill right now and just talk about just the perception of seeing bias for the first time. The bias. Okay. So
the bias.
Why don't you talk about the difference between the two?
Okay. So I think greatest concern, let's just go to the core. The greatest concern of anyone being accused of being a shill and why they don't like that accusation is there are two things that's being implied. One, you're being paid. So that's one aspect, or you're somehow so closely connected to that brand. You know, your mother owns Samsung or whatever, right? So you're closely connected to the brand, either as an employee. Yeah, that'd be great. Or you're either an employee, right? You're being paid. And then as a result of that connection, whether it's paid or unpaid, it's a tight connection. You say you have an opinion about it, and the opinion is favorable when in fact it should not be. And I think that's the key is, can they trust what you say? Because let's say you say, oh, this Samsung TV is a great TV. So if you're paid to say it's a great TV, and in fact it's not, you would still say it's a great TV. But what if it's a great TV and you're being paid to say it's a great TV? Then are you just biased? So there's a lot to unpack because now they just don't want to listen to you anymore because you become, nothing you say is of value because they don't know if it's true or untrue or just being paid to cover up the truth. And so to be accused of being a shill completely undermines the veracity, the sincerity, the authenticity of your opinion. And it's a pretty impactful, it's beyond negative, right? It's accusing your integrity because now obviously you haven't disclosed that you're being paid. Like, hey, this review of a Samsung TV is being sponsored by Samsung. So now you're disclosing you're a shill. So you're still a shill potentially, and you're disclosing, I'm a shill. I'm being paid by Samsung. It's when you don't disclose that people assume, oh, he can't be a shill. He didn't disclose. But then, a
Yeah.
lot of people don't disclose. I always disclose who my sponsors are. You guys all know Who Keys or Surfshark or whoever, right? And recently, CES was the first time I disclosed TV brands that sponsored me. Hisense and TCL sponsored me to cover their TV launch. But as you notice, right? I just covered, hey, this is this, this is that, boom. But when it comes to actual reviews, you and I, we have never accepted any form of money in return for a review. Now, they give us TVs for long-term use, and then when I'm done, I just send it on either to you last year, I give it back, or sometimes the brand will say, oh, we don't want it back, do whatever you want, just we'd rather you not sell it, just give it away, Salvation Army, whatever, and I end up giving them all away, right? So at the end of the day, really, it's the question becomes, are we truly shills? And that's when you get paid directly, right? Compensation from the brand, but then you have the gray area. What if the brand flies you to their event? You're not being paid. You're being flown there. Are you going there for the free airfare and cheap airplane meals,
like the
right?
pistachios
and the free blanket, right? Or are you going there for content, right? Like, a whopping 2 videos out of that.
Let's stop there though. Let's go back to CES. So this is being part of that, helping you with that shoot. And we had separate meetings. We went to all meetings together. We went to things. I am well aware that you never told what to say. Never said, give it a favorable review. Never said, hey, you're covering that, say this about it. Now, I wasn't part of that. My videos alone are on their own. But I have never been told by a manufacturer what to say, how to say it, what tagline, anything like that. None of my videos have been sponsored. But with the CES thing being the first time a TV manufacturer was paying you to cover it, you were covering it. But I was there. There was not a conversation from anybody.
Well, you were my cameraman, right? And they were
I was there
you.
flying around.
Capture Fomo with that NFL player, right?
In my footage, you're flying around the back. But I was like, I'd be remiss to say there isn't any glowing, this is amazing, so there's a misconception there. But I know for me, and I know we talked about things like affiliate links.
Yes.
So
we're definitely going to address that as well.
So we'll talk about that in a moment. But we talk about what you were saying about flying to an event. For us, it's access. What access do we have? We've all come up grassroots. I'm one of the OGs of this.
And what about the risk of getting cut off from that access? Like, wow, if I say something that might anger the brand, they might never fly me in economy class with the free peanuts ever again.
Yeah. Well, and for all all purposes with this, a lot of these manufacturers are doing this now for the first time.
True.
With influencers. And I hate, we don't like that. I think about makeup, we talk about influencers. But the fact is, for TVs, it's a new thing. We're considered media. We've been CES the last few years. But we talk about access. A lot of people will say to me, Fomo, and I know you get the same thing. Dude, I loved you back in the day when you were filming the Vizio P series and you had the 900E. And I get that garage band aspect. You like that more because I'm answering every comment. And back then too, Fomo, there was a lot of fighting in the comments. There was a lot of toxicity back then. But the fact is we have to grow and evolve and move on to the next thing. And as we're getting to know more people in the industry, which is great, we're getting to be able to show them more products, get more inside track. But being called the shill is, I think it's funny because it's ridiculous that I apparently work, and I've said this like in the intro, I work for LG, did not know. I work for Microsoft, Sony, PlayStation, NVIDIA, AMD, whatever TV we're looking at, I'm called a shill. And then someone in the comments will say, did you just see his last video was on the Sony? So we saw at the end of last year, Fomo, Sony was the brand we covered the most. Why?
Yes,
they were the last
XR Clear,
but they were the last TVs to release.
And the XR Clear, we uncovered deeper layers because content, right? The A80L, you covered it initially. You were the first to cover it. At the end, we're like, you know what? The A80L is my choice W OLED. You're like, wow, this is really good.
And the year before that, it was actually the C2 that received more
Mhm.
love at the end of the year. But they said, "Why
Mhm.
are you covering Sony so much?" It must be because Robert Zone is a diamond dealer, and I'm connected with Value Electronics, which apparently I work there too. I'm like the Bo Jackson of the TV world. I work at Samsung, Hisense. So,
You could do no wrong.
and if I planned this video better, I would have sent shirts to both of us to wear like Hisense or TCL. But the fact is, it the end of the year, this guy only covers Sony. Then Rob Brennan is on from Sony. And look, I'm trying to track down a Rob Brennan for each manufacturer. And I've talked
Yes,
to
you
every
are.
manufacturer. Can I get a Rob Brennan type person? I'm working on a few right now. That's be great if they can come on. I've never been told by Rob Brennan or Sony what to say, what to ask. I just know what I won't ask them because I won't get an answer. But
Right, right. They'll tell you what they can't answer. So
just say, yeah, and
you don't
I
have
just
those
say, well,
awkward
no,
pauses.
ridiculous
Yeah.
things. Yeah, I can't say, hey, what TVs are coming out in 2027, things like that. But we talk about this conversation as far as access and being able to see things. What's funny with you, it was Hisense for me is what where you started.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years ago, you had the U8H, and everyone's like, dude, Fomo's the Hisense guy. And then this year in our live streams, and you kind of preferred the QM8 a little bit, I
Mhm.
saw the comments like, what the hell? Like you all of a sudden betrayed that brand. So there's this
Yeah.
conception that we love these specific brands. Where if you watch the beginning of last year,
Or
Sony
rather,
wasn't even
or the accusation highest bidder. Oh, this year maybe TCL's just paying him more. He just walked over to TCL.
Yeah, we offer our services. But if you watch the channels last year, in March and April, it was LG, Samsung, LG, Samsung, LG, Samsung, LG, Samsung. TCL sprinkled throughout Hisense. Sony didn't jump into it till they released.
Mhm.
So our coverage is changing. We collaborate more. But I do think it's funny. Now, describe to me what you think about bias versus fandom versus
Yeah,
and we talked
that's
about that before we
okay.
came.
So let's jump into that because reviewers are people. Let's not confuse personal biases and preferences with being a shill, right? So being a shill, you're being paid to say something, whether or not it's true. Okay, so let's put that aside. Biases make you appear like a shill because you are so loyal to the brand they can do no wrong. Even if you're not being paid to do it, you will
Yeah.
defend them to the ends of the earth. So you have Tesla bias fanboys,
Yep.
right? You have PlayStation, Xbox, you name it.
Mhm.
In any hobby or pursuit where there's a lot of us versus them brand loyalty, Chevy versus Ford, Mustang versus Camaro, right?
Yeah.
In the car industry, in the gaming industry, and with us among TVs. So you see it now. I mean, maybe not as much with the TCL and Hisense, but definitely LG OLED fanboys versus Sony fanboys versus Samsung.
Yep.
I mean, they're pretty adamant about what they cannot do. They will find a great defense of why Samsung does what it does, or Sony or LG. And at the end of the day, that's fine. You can be a fan, but what about us as reviewers? Although we try to be objective, I am still biased to my preferences for motion. I prefer Sony's motion as it approaches stutter. For me, stutter is a no bueno. I'm willing to live with a little soap, just a touch, to get rid of stutter. And Samsung does it well, Sony does it well, and LG does it well. But some people hate soap so much, right, that they are willing to live with a little stutter. So for them, only Sony does it well because Samsung still introduces a little bit of soap. Unacceptable. LG is pretty good now, but you see that bias is unsaid. When they say, oh, this motion is great or is bad, that's an internal bias. And the person listening, well, I hate soap opera, so he must mean that, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Or I say, hey, that HDR image is awesome. Well, the HDR image could be crushed blacks or bright specular highlights,
Saturated,
visible, saturated, unsaturated. I mean, what does that even mean when I say HDR is awesome? So I try to define it so that you know what my bias or my preference, right? Same thing, bias, definitely. Preference, right? And one year, the TV may do it right. The next year, they get it wrong. Last year, the Sony A95L XR Clear, perfect example. They went from being perfectly neutral to the creator's intent to you know what? We're going to hype up those highlights just a little bit.
Yeah.
They went out and like, wait, didn't Samsung used to do that? Get killed?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I thought in my review, I was like, wow, I'm actually going to leave this in this mode.
But
But
you and I love Samsung for that, and then Samsung went completely neutral on their filmmaker mode. People are like, wow, it looks just like the Sony.
yeah.
Not anymore. Sony looks like Samsung now.
So and we ding them for that, but I want to stay with that too, preference. And this is where I will bring in some of our friends, because I know we're going to talk about that. Is the people we're going to bring up now are the people that I know personally, the people that I've seen in person, and the people that I've talked to. And that would be Brandon, be the installer, Tech with KG, and Classy. All of us different, all of us different preferences. And there's others that I'd love to mention and say hello to, but we're going to keep it to the people that I know personally and I've spent time with them. And we have never bumped into each other and they pull me aside and go, LG, baby. Sony, baby. Samsung, baby. That's the one I want.
How much are they paying you?
Yeah, how much you got? How much you got? But I know that Classy's preference, being a calibrator, and he's brilliant, and I know what he likes. And
yes,
I'm a little more like KG. KG likes accuracy, but he likes the vibrancy, and he's gaming and classy games. And Brandon likes these other things, and you like these other things. So what I love about all the influencers or reviewers, I recommend you watch everyone, because there is, for me, no authority. The authority is the guy or girl that builds it, that designs it, and that's the authority. People's preference, that's why if you like this person's taste and that person's taste, that's why I say watch everyone. And what makes all of us unique. I vouch for that group because I know that group personally. Go ahead. You're about to say something.
Well, I was going to say, what's great is we each make it very clear what our preferences are, right?
Yes.
Classy is very clear. He likes accuracy. He hates soap opera. He's willing to live with this for that. I say the same thing about myself. I love HDR impact. I'm willing to live with a little black crushing, but I love specular highlights, right? And KG also publicly argues with Classy over game settings because, KG likes a little bit of pop. Classy wants it to be accurate, HGIG. And we're also allowed to change our minds as long as we tell you guys, you know what? Yeah. This year, I love stutter. My eyesight's going. I can't see the damn thing anymore.
I want the energy saver. But I love that different part about us. I love our different styles. That's any creator on the platform. But we get into hearing this person is bought or that person is bought. Now, I want to differentiate these things here. I constantly hear this person has affiliate links. And then I don't have.
Oh yeah, right. They say don't trust them because they have affiliate links.
Yeah, KG has them, Brandon has them, you have them, whoever has them. This person gets TVs.
Wait,
and then
Brian, you don't have them.
I don't have them. Now, there's two reasons why I don't have them. I'm lazy, right? So for me, we all have the Amazon thing. I don't even do that. It takes me too long. I also work and hang out with Value Electronics, Robert Zone, Wendy Zone, that family. We'll talk about them in a moment. But it's about access. It's about me being there in their home, which is their store. I'm not going to put affiliate links in the videos that I have at their store.
I feel that's wrong. Hey guys.
I feel that's wrong.
Robert, go click on my Amazon link over there.
Exactly. So I have in the description, Robert really small. Then I'm like, and by the way, Amazon, Best Buy, whatever you need. So that's a loyalty thing. No money changes hands. And Robert has said maybe we should do an affiliate program. I don't want that. I don't want to work for Robert. I love that our friendship is the way it is. We are very close with him and his entire family. I love Wendy. I love Leanne. I love the kids. We're very, very tight. I spend time with them outside of YouTube. Same with you. That's why we collaborate. We do see each other. We do talk all the time, even though we live far away. But the fact is, I look at that as, especially Robert, I don't look at him as a threat. People say, well, he's a diamond Sony dealer. Let me just finish this real quick, and then we'll get to the other stuff with affiliates. So Robert Zone is, for me, like an icon in this industry. And we talk about access. Spending time with Robert, introducing myself, 4 or 5 years ago. Very nervous. The store is really small. Introduce myself. I buy a Panasonic Blu-ray player right off the bat. Boom. I'm spending money. And I'm really just asking if I can walk around the store and film. I did that for years at Best Buy, Walmart, Sam's Club, Fomo, Beach. So we're talking about access.
Right.
I was never one to buy TVs, review them, and return them. To each his own. But I would go to Best Buy and I would film these TVs and I would give you my opinion on them. And then we would all watch each other. Right. So with Robert, I was able to have access. And we talked about driving down there takes a long time. A lot of time, a lot of trust going into that store. And we grew that over years. I don't want money from him. He doesn't want anything from me. Every time I put his picture in my videos, I'll put it in this video. He has never asked me to do that. I think it's the right thing to do. I've had people say to me, why do you mention them so much? I don't know. I'm filming a $30,000 TV in their store. I'm here for 11 hours. I think I should mention them.
No, Robert's like, he's not young. He's tired. He's about to pass out on the couch. And like, Robert, give me another 10 minutes to shoot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, all right, Brian, take your time.
Yeah,
and you are imposing on the man.
I am. And after years, I have more access because it's trust. And the talk of affiliate links with them, they're a small business. I don't want that. I don't need that. The access is all I need. Does he sell TVs because I recommend going to them? Of course he does. That's the yin and yang. That's the give and take. I get access. I can see things first. I see TVs that no one else can see. And that is the way the relationship is. That's as simple as it is. Robert is a Sony Diamond dealer. Okay. He's also, I have the names of him. He's an LG prestigious Pinnacle dealer. Top level there. And then Samsung, it's the Platinum dealer. I had to ask him because I was like, dude, which one of these are you? So he's the top level at all of them. The Value Electronics shootout. We are not paid to be there. We covered it this year. So there is no pay. There's no change. It's passion. And you and I are also, people say, well, you're doing that out of the kindness of your heart. We are growing our careers here on this platform. Right? So I think about it as if you're in extras in a movie. I first went to the shootout. I was just happy to be there. I shot a little stuff. Then I met you there. I met Rob Brennan there. I met Don from LG there. I met the guys from LG. We met Chirag from Samsung Displays there. So if you're wondering where this access comes from, it comes from these connections. It comes from flying from LA here. It comes from that commitment and passion that we all have together. How did I meet somebody like Hisense? Fomo had a connection there and introduced me. That's how we help each other, not buying our way in or anything like that. But lastly, with Robert, that friendship, that passion, great person. But that access, I can't betray that and put an affiliate link in there. It's not because I'm not a shill or my guys that have affiliate links are shills. It's because if they were in Robert's store, they would do the same thing. So that's why I don't have affiliate links. Because if I have a TV from, say, the X90L and it's going against the Hisense, I'm not going to put Robert down there and then put, a bunch of affiliates. I just think it's wrong to do. That's because we're close. He's not a business partner. We work together. We're dear friends. That's where I'll leave that.
Brian, by the way, even if you did, Robert would not call you out on it either.
And he wouldn't. I just don't think it's...
You're doing it as a favor to him. Absolutely.
Yeah, and because I care about him and his family, and I just think I don't have that access. And Robert and I have also talked, I don't care how big the channel gets, I will always shoot from there. I will always film there. And I appreciate, again, love his family. No excuses, but that's why I don't have affiliate links. It's not because I'm better than the other guys. It's just because I am so lucky to have that access and that ability, and it works both ways. So tell me a little bit, Fomo, about the affiliate links and how the guys that have them and how they work and what is really behind it.
Absolutely. So, and I think this goes to your relationship with Robert as well, is we're addressing people who come to our channels, all of us, right? When you look for a TV review channel, you're looking to buy a TV or entertainment, either way. But if you're looking to buy a TV, you want to buy a TV. You want us to kind of direct you to the right choice. If you look at the affiliate links, it would be a list of the different TV options. One of them would be the one that you consider, and maybe ones you did not consider, including the TV that we might be reviewing. We're not telling you to buy the TV, but it's always, if you are buying a TV and you found this video useful, buy from our links because they don't charge you anymore, and we get a small commission anywhere from 2% to 12%. It really depends on the promotion. 12% is very rare. Occasionally you might get that, but it's almost always between 2 and 4%. Sometimes worse. I remember when I started, oh my gosh, Best Buy.
You told me this.
0.5%. I'm like, why do you put a link on, right? But you know what? $1 is better than no dollars. But at the end of the day, it's just letting you guys know, because not a lot of people can afford giving us a super chat, but if they're going to buy a TV anyway, and some of that goes to us, hey, give them a chance to do that. Now, so that's one side, which is if you're going to buy TV, whether it's on my channel, whatever channel, wherever you found the information useful to help you with that last step in committing to a decision, you're going to buy it anyway. That commission is paid to someone. And if you don't click on any of our affiliate links, no big deal. You go on there, well, you know what? Someone else is getting a commission. It's just someone you might not know, because Amazon always has a budget for marketing in their sales price. So if that budget doesn't go to me or some other dude, it's going to go to their marketing team. So it's going to someone shilling for Amazon, right? And for me, if you notice, I don't necessarily shill for the retailer. Hey, Amazon's the best, or Best Buy is the best. I do share my Best Buy experience, such that, hey, this installation, cheap, go for it. Or, hey, this Geek Squad covers burn-in for 2 years. That's awesome, right?
You know what's ironic, FOMO, is I'm the guy walking through Best Buy. if anybody is going to give him some love, it's me. But stay real quick. Wait.
Sorry, no, you didn't finish the story. You walked through there and you've closed some sales from there. I remember this one time you're walking through there. You're saying, no, my friend, do not buy that TV. Get this OLED.
So the Best Buy walkthroughs, I did those years ago. The funniest thing is when you and I first started, when you had me on your stream and I shouted you out, we had that whole conversation, which is a great story. I remember when I asked the guy a question, and he's like, oh, hold on a second. And he brings up his iPad and he brings up your video. And I'm like, oh, I know him. And he goes, I go, why don't you go down a few? And there I was. So it is funny. But real quick, what you said about the affiliates, what I think we have to focus on is a lot of times, even in comparisons or whatever, you look down, as you mentioned, there's a choice of TVs. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're saying, hey, the Sony is the best, buy this one. And that's why I'll go back real quick to Value Electronics, where I thought there would never be a conflict of interest, is he had everything.
Yeah.
So if he was a Sony Diamond dealer only.
Right. Well, but he's not a Hisense Hottie dealer or a TCL trusted dealer. So if you buy TCL or Hisense, Robert cannot help you. Well, not yet.
He is with Hisense. I think he might be.
He's a Hisense Hottie dealer now.
I think he's a Hisense one. But the point is, with Robert, real quick, before we go back to the affiliate links, it's not like that affiliate link is from Sony and hey, sell TVs for me. It's more of Robert's a Diamond dealer. And then real quick with the shootout, we've said this on many streams. Sony's won the last 5 years. Before that, LG won 5 years. Sharp won 2 years. Samsung won 3 years. So that conversation about being an LG dealer was on his brought to him back then, before there was a lot of YouTube. But this whole thing about, I thought it was safe because he covers, BMW. He's got Denon. He's got Marantz. He has all these different, speakers and projectors, JVC, Hisense, and now he has Hisense. We did the dual cell when it first came out.
And we all left disappointed. We all left disappointed.
But the fact is, there's not a lot of margin to make. He loves that stuff. Mm-hmm. So the Sharp, Panasonic, all these brands. So the affiliate link thing, I think we go back to that. It's the same thing. You're not an affiliate link for that particular company. It's all the brands. So when someone says, hey, do me a favor, quickly, I want to say also, if you want to know how much YouTubers make per view, there's a million videos on it. Go look at it. You expect a lot of YouTubers to do this stuff for free. Our videos are monetized. I'm not going to tell you what they make for thousands of views or whatever it is, but I think people have a misconception. There's a million videos on that. But to think that you don't want somebody to make extra money in an affiliate link when they do these videos. I will tell you, me as a business person who owns his own business, I lose money every time I shoot.
Mm-hmm. It's time that you could be doing another job in your real job that pays way more.
My real career. And I'm not saying feel sorry for me. That's where YouTubers, I think, get it twisted. They want you to feel like, oh my God, it's so hard. We love this. Let me just get that out there in the beginning. I love this. FOMO love this. Our conversations off camera are this. Not about money. They should be more about money. They're more about.
We could also start a fitness channel because we talk so much about fitness as well, right?
Fitness. But the thing is,
abs.
even in my marriage, and I'm sure in yours too, it was like, okay, you're going down to the store. You're 11 hours, 12 hours for a video that might get 1,000 views, might get 2,000 views, especially back in the day. If it got 1,000, you were happy. But it's not a money maker. Someday it will be. That's always our goal. But to try to get some of that money back. Now I get all kinds of emails. Hey, can you look at this projector? We'll pay you X to do that. I don't do any of
Brian,
those videos. But
forget that it's opportunity cost where you could be spending time doing else that makes money. You buy the TVs. So now you have an actual out-of-pocket cost
and
that these YouTube views are really not subsidizing.
no, and that's where have been very fortunate with Robert, because I did buy TVs and I started this channel not because of YouTube, but I had 11 TVs that were defective, and only one of them is on the channel, which shows you I didn't buy them for YouTube. A KS9800, it's my first couple of videos. I started this channel because I was filming TVs for Samsung to show them my defective $12,000 TV. So I did it as a hobby, but I've been doing it for 7 years. Out of our group, I am the first. And I just started taking it serious. And it was a good distraction. It was a nice hobby, but there's a cost to FOMO from your family. You know, I go down to the store, it's 10-hour minimum that I'm down there. That's without me editing anything or actually putting the content together. And a lot of times the videos don't make any money back like that. So it's a slow process. So when I see somebody do an affiliate link that gives them a couple dollars or whatever it is, I don't know how you can blame them for that, to think you're going to do this for free. Whether we get sent TVs, which hasn't really happened yet for me, other than Hisense.
Or actually, let's stop there about getting sent TVs.
Yep.
If I was to wait for a TV to be sent to me, you guys would be getting reviews in October or November.
Yes.
So when you guys saw the Samsung drop, accidentally it was dropped early. I bought it full price, and then Samsung.
Two of them.
No, that was a Sony.
Samsung,
right?
Yeah.
The Samsung S89B and the S95C both were bought full price because I needed ASAP, and it was bought so early that both times Samsung reached out to me and like, "How'd you get that TV?" I go, "Dude, it was on your website." They're like, "Oh man," right?
Yeah.
And on the Sony, straight to Best Buy, I had to get two of them because I thought maybe one of them was not working so well. But apparently, firmware was not baked. But when you do that, it's money out of your pocket. Sony's not going to reimburse me. They don't want me to have the TV. They're like, wait, it's not ready for reviews yet. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I wanted to have it so you guys could see.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because again, I'm fortunate with being connected with Robert and going to the store. Again, that's also effort. I got to drive down there. Nobody's sending. He doesn't mail me TVs. Anything you see that is from that store, I buy. But as far as what he lends me, only a couple of them come home, just because it's easier for me to film there. But the fact of the matter is, buying these things alone, and there's plenty of other influencers that started doing that I know that could go broke doing that. And they literally just try to buy things. You'll never make the money back. The TVs aren't worth anything after. They're hard to sell. You don't want to bring them back to a store and do that. But it's just an interesting conversation. It's not like it's a receiver you put back in a box and you drive it in your car. These things are 65 inches, 75 inches. Why I don't have TV sent to me is I don't need that, because I have Robert, because I do work with him. So it works out. And we will be covering even more brands, and we have more access. But as I mentioned to you, building those relationships, going to a shootout, you're there interviewing all these people in the industry. So every year you're like, and what are you doing? You're flying up. I'll tell you this, FOMO didn't need to do this. Last year, he bought his G3 and he bought the G3, right? G3 and the S95C. He had those TVs already. And he still flew down here to go to Value Electronics and stream 2 days with
on
me.
my own dime. A lot of people thought,
dime.
Maybe Value should. No, I said this is going to be so fun to spend the weekend. Brought all my gear, flew down there, and spent the weekend with you guys.
So we spent the weekend, but you're looking at. But here's the best part about that story isn't just that it was on your own dime. You had the TVs.
Yeah.
So you could have just stayed home. You could have live streamed them, which we did after. But the fact that we put that money out. CES costs thousands to go to. So the hotel, everything that we do, no one's paying us to go there. So
wait, I got paid to go there.
You got paid to go there. Well, I mean, this year. Hopefully it'll happen for me. But we'll see if I can get my Shill status up.
I know,
First
right?
time, but that's your third year. But that's your third
I've been
year.
There 3 years, and it's the first time that TV brand has paid me to cover them, to cover their launch and talk about their new models and the specs. That's it. They weren't told to say, "Hey, this is better than that." Well,
No,
look,
and
these
and
are
I
the
encourage
specs. Take a look at it. Whatever you see, just talk about it. That's it.
and I encourage you to look at those if you guys are watching to look at those videos from FOMO, especially the Samsung one, which I thought was hysterical. You're like
Oh, but
literally watching you. They didn't
but
pay you for that
Samsung
one.
didn't pay me.
For that one. But the whole point is if you watch your interviews with both TCL and Hisense,
Mhm.
there's nothing in there but letting them discuss what they have. There's nothing
That's
that
it. They
says
just want FaceTime.
just
That's
FaceTime.
it.
That's it. It wasn't like, hey, tell them here, read this script. So I think there's some misconceptions with that. But I to think that people can just buy these TVs and review them and spend time with them, they'll be broke in a matter of a few months. There's no views that are going to pay for that unless they're in the millions, right? FOMO, it's like the millions of
Mhm.
views, which I don't have per video or anything. So it is a passion and we are building towards something. But I do find it funny when every video, I'm an LG guy. He's an LG guy. Watch out for him. He's a Samsung guy. Watch out for him. Well,
Yeah.
he's a Sony guy. We had a stream where someone told me to go tell Sony to go do this and that. I'm like, you really think that's how it works? You
Well,
think I call
you're
them?
still
Hey, I
connected,
need two
right?
more HDMI 2.1s over here.
Well, and I think that's okay. So that also goes to the perception of how close we are to these brands.
Yep.
We are close only to the degree that they email me to correct some things like,
Yep.
hey, you know what? What was the problem again? Let us know so our engineers could address that. Or,
Yeah.
hey, Fomo, try this setting. Apparently, you may have left this on or off
Yeah.
or whatever. So it's good that I put it up there because it helps them help me either make a correction or have them make a correction. Like right now, we know for a fact Sony has responded that they watched our videos and are correcting issues with Dolby Vision
So
actively on the A95L. And that's
and
because of the videos being put out about issues with Dolby Vision
yeah.
and whatnot. They're working on it.
Well, here's the thing too, and this is I will toot our own horn. We do discussion based content. We also do reviews. We do reveals. We do all the same stuff in that. But FOMO and I both do our separate discussions. We do discussions together. It's videos like this one that they key on, and then say, okay, you know what? I can get a message back through Brian or FOMO and say, look, we're working on it.
Mhm.
And that's not a PR person buried somewhere. That's somebody who's working on it. So I had gotten news that they were working on the Dolby Vision issue with A95L. That's great to hear. You know, I'm hoping to build those relationships with all the manufacturers, not one, not just one, and say this is my team. I have to cover them all. Also, all the manufacturers now FOMO because they're dealing with influencers and not media.
Right.
They know they have to deal with bad reviews of it from an influencer, right? So they know that hey, this, and with us, here's the funny thing with us, the discussion is not in a one review. We talk about these TVs all year long. So if you're missing a feature, we talk about it all year long. If this TV has the last year's processor, so here I'll stay with this for 1 second. We talk about XR Clear last year. It was a delineating feature that the other companies didn't have. Now LG's coming out with something with the G4. We've made so a lot of times because of our ongoing
And just so people know, that is why we chose the A80L over the C3, and we still prefer that. And moving to this year, it looks like it's going to be the A80L over the C4 because the C4 doesn't get that AI processing to match XR Clear.
Yeah,
You know,
and that, but
It's just
our
what it is.
conversations, that doesn't happen in a one review. It's in these discussions and these talks, these 3-hour live streams, these videos we do 45 minutes, 35 minutes. They're meant to be long. They're meant to be unscripted. We didn't have a powwow before this video. This is something we've talked about off camera. We wanted to address it, but address it in a fun way, but have some serious tones to it that, I'm not making excuses. This is just the fact of the way things are. And, as far as me with band loyalty or brand bias, I was a big Samsung guy. And then I ran through all those Samsungs and I was like, okay. Then I had to be objective and say, wait a second, Samsung is the #1 seller of TVs. So even my 11 TVs weren't all one Samsung. Out of all their numbers, I still have to think to myself, I can't hate that brand because that's a small percentage of millions that they sell. I didn't recommend TCL or Hisense for years until their quality got better. Now, if
No.
I was biased against them, it wouldn't matter. The same thing is like we mentioned with Sony. Sony A95L, my favorite TV last year. It doesn't matter that it won the shootout. It was my favorite TV last year. I'm already pushing for the G4. So do you think LG like came to my house? Put a
Yeah,
check in my
wait.
mailbox?
Wait. Isn't that suspicious? You went from Sony
Whoa!
fanboy in
Exactly.
December, and then by the end of CES, you were announcing victory to the
Yeah,
G4.
the first thing I did is look at that. So the thing is, if I'm a fan of the moment, meaning you have to earn my business every time. That doesn't make me better than anybody. I'm just a 49-year-old guy that's bought electronics for years, where I don't just blindly go with the manufacturer. I didn't touch Sony TVs for years. To where when ratings.com when they were helping me with all my defective TVs, FOMO,
Mhm.
they finally said to me, so, and shout out to them, by the way, because they were helping me before I even started a channel. They said, look, why don't you think about Sony? I'm like, what? Why? Why? It's so boring. They've worked their way back. They had a tough time in the TV business. Same with
Mhm.
LG and all of them.
Mhm.
So the whole thing of being a fan and enjoying them, they do have to earn my business. Vizio we always talk about Vizio being bought by Walmart.
I have to say, when I first saw Vizio back in 2019, they were at the same level as a Sony flagship and a Samsung flagship to me. That P Quantum X had
Yep.
all the specs. I mean, I lined them up. I remember I couldn't decide. I actually could not decide between a Vizio P Quantum X, a Sony OLED, and a Samsung flagship Q90R. That's how good Vizio was in 2019.
Yeah.
And they
2019,
couldn't make, yeah, right. They couldn't make money. They could not make money doing advanced TV. And that's why they were there today. But at one point, right, Vizio was that brand, that level. I thought it was amazing.
So for me, take that 2016, I bought the P series. It died. Two of them died. Then I went and bought the Quantum P series with my own money, the Quantum X, and it died during the review. So when my issue with Vizio, which is why, at the moment I'm not a fan, is their quality. Obviously, it's not just mine; it's all the people in the community.
Well, now it's Walmart quality.
Yeah, but when I was really pushing for Vizio at the time, I was being called a Vizio fanboy, or a projector fanboy, or console, or PC. So it's an interesting conversation, but I hope that this conversation has given some clarity. Is there anything that you want to add while we're
I
winding
do.
down?
So, it's a confession time. I think it's fair to say that we all have our biases and fanboyism, right? So if I were to ask you, and it doesn't have to be limited to TVs, right? I want to make it an easy answer, a softball. If you were to be a fanboy of any brand, product,
Mhm.
what would it be?
So for me, I would tell you that the brand that I still would hold on to is Panasonic.
Panasonic.
Panasonic Plasma, Panasonic Processing. And then I saw them at CES, but I had to come to terms with the fact that I was like, wait a minute, these TVs aren't 85. They just aren't in line with any of the things that I need anymore. They were a little behind in the gaming. So even when I would see you,
They still have the best disc player for the money on sale in the USA.
yeah.
So yeah,
But
that's
they
very
were the
impressive.
one that I would like. Even I'll give you an example. When I bought the Plasma ST60 and the S60, I barely watched reviews on that. One of the few things I just bought because I knew it was theirs. So that would be one. How about for you? What would you say yours is?
I'm definitely a Porsche guy. I'm a fanboy of what they do. Just everything they stand for, like because I know exactly what their focus is. I know exactly if they were to spend $10, I know where it's going versus other brands, and where it's going is exactly what I want.
Yeah.
Handling, ride quality, right? Just the tactile feel of a sports car. That's what they're about. That's what they say they're about, and they deliver on that promise. Now, forget expense. It is expensive. And what do they say? The most affordable Porsche is a used one. Even that's not affordable anymore. But at the end of the day, I believe in that. And now, if they do something wrong, like, I think they were caught up in the whole Dieselgate fiasco that all of VW was. And I had a VW.
I remember
station
that, the
wagon.
Volkswagen. Yeah.
Yeah, the Volkswagen, right? So, but no brand gets it right. I was out there
No.
defending them. I'm definitely, though, when it comes to fanboyism, I'm a Porsche fanboy. But as far as TVs are concerned, every year is a little bit different. Like I was not a huge fanboy of TCL and Hisense last year because I thought they did well, but the TCL color accuracy was really a bit disappointing compared to prior years. And Hisense, it lost that impact that TCL. But then when they came out with 98 100-inch TVs, I was back. You got me
Yeah.
back, baby, with the size. And so,
Yeah.
out of the blue, I'm still recommending Hisense and TCL 98 100-inch TVs because that's something I believed in.
Well, and that's so funny because when somebody sees, I had somebody from a couple of years ago, I can't believe, they think that video was filmed yesterday. It says 2017. And the fact that you were always into the quality, small quality and
I
all
was.
these great
Mhm.
TVs. And then now in our live streams, it's like, hey, I may want you to have this, but our recommendations are on the community individually.
Right.
So and
Always.
quickly I want to touch on CES is if you're somebody who has the commitment to go there, and a lot of our influencers, and this is where I will give our guy TKK a shout out, who went to CES. And I know he buys his own TVs, and I haven't had a chance to talk to him in person. He went and he was invited to some of these events. That access, FOMO, and this is where you and I don't even film the CES floor anymore because without any access, there's nothing to see.
Right.
TCL was really the only brand that had all their stuff on the floor.
Mhm.
Samsung's brand, a whole event had the 8K TV. That was it. They
Mhm.
had some other monitors. Hisense had most of their lineup. LG had nothing other than the transparent OLEDs. There was no C series.
Samsung showed off their anti-reflection screen.
They didn't show that, but they didn't show that in their booth.
No, oh yeah, that's right.
That's what I'm
We
saying.
had to be in their special booth. You're right.
So
I didn't even go to their booth. You're right. I didn't even know what was in their booth.
So the reason why I'm illustrating it to you guys as we're getting towards the end is these connections are more about access. It's not about pay. They're not going to pay me at 30,000 subscribers or even FOMO's subscribers. They're not going to pay him to come in. It's little by little chipping away and finally getting access. And now others influencers that are smaller are even getting access because now they realize that we discuss them day in and day out. We don't just do reviews.
Mhm.
Product reviewers back in the day would just, a lot of subscribers, they would just review things. But CES, if I had gone this year without any access, I'd have been very disappointed. There was nothing to see.
You bring up a good point about access. The brands do not cut off access because you say something bad about them, as long as it's fair, right? I mean, if you're making up stuff, that's a whole different matter. But
Yeah.
like Samsung, I was very hard on them on a few
Oh,
items.
me too.
And
This year on the mat. And they watch, by the way.
They watch. They will text you and email you.
Bro, really?
But they know it's part of when you are, what is it? You get out of the kitchen if you can't handle the fire. If you're going to put out a TV, you're going to get criticism for what it doesn't do well and what it does well. Like we recognize Samsung for the QD OLED and all the great things it did. But how hard did we hammer the S89, the S95B? How hard did we hammer that for its processing of YouTube TV and sports and just a bad processing? And then it carried over to the following year. And we also mentioned, hey guys, if you guys cable YouTube TV, you may not like the processing, but that was definitely a fair assessment because everyone saw it, right? It wasn't something that you make up. We don't hide it either, but it doesn't change your access as long as they know you're fair and objective. Then it is what it is. They'll take it, and you're still a professional in their eyes.
Well, and they take it as a learning opportunity versus just a written review that a guy writes. And nothing against those, we read them all the time. They write it and they turn the page. Ours is an ongoing all year, which is great because they do end up saying, okay, last year we're going to fix what was done with this one. They do go after. They do watch these videos. They're paying attention to them now. But about being fair, we're not going after them. And it's not hard because I say this when I'm at Roberts, I'm really not seeing anything that's junk. It's not hard to say everything's pretty good at the level where we don't do the really entry level. I'd like to start reviewing some of that stuff. But we look at pretty high end, mid-tier, high end. They're all pretty good. They're not perfect. None of them are perfect. The TV behind me, not perfect. I chose it for my own TV. No one sent it to me. No one said, okay, talk about it, put it in the background. That would be nice. That's not what's happening. So it's an interesting conversation because I think there's a lot of misconceptions. But that access
Mhm.
at CES, what I'm trying to say is getting to know them and being fair, not attacking them or being toxic or ripping it apart or going after them. That doesn't help anybody. Doesn't I'm
Yep.
not going to bring, they're not going to bring me into Samsung Display. Now, someone like Samsung Display, Shirag, I met Shirag at I met him because he was at the shootout. He knew me because he knew
Mhm.
Robert Zone. He knew you differently. I was able to go to that event and see what QD OLED can really do. If I'm there saying the thing's an absolute piece of crap, which it's not, but I can still give you the negatives about it or the strengths and
Mhm.
positives about it. It's doing that with some kind of class that helps the conversation.
Absolutely.
And that gives you the
Absolutely.
access. If you're just tearing them apart, and we don't do that for clicks, you're not doing that to say this garbage, that's not my style. That's not your style. That's not KG style, Brandon's, or Classy's. And that's just kind of the discussion I wanted to have. I wanted to talk about the affiliate links, FOMO. I want to talk about Value Electronics, the shootout, which we covered last year,
Mhm.
and just that ability to talk to the insiders, FOMO. Talk to Phil Holland, talk to Rob Brennan,
Oh,
talk to the
yeah.
guys from
Sure.
Samsung, and we're only looking to do more of that content that I think you guys are enjoying, and that's why these are more discussion based than reviews. But as a friend of FOMO's and the other guys that I mentioned, I'll tell you, we don't have conversations about money. There's not conversations about, hey, these guys are hooking me up or I have to say this. I've never heard those guys, I can vouch for every single one of them, ever say anything like that. Um, Not that we talk about something like it just doesn't happen. So when I hear people go after them, oh, this guy's got an affiliate link. It's like, come on, man. Like you want the guy to have absolutely nothing extra. You want him
No
to make
tip.
his 5 cents a view or whatever it is,
No tip for you.
Yeah, no tip. But hey, it's what I get. What's so funny too. I'll say this before we leave. I'll do a video where it's a 65 versus a 55, and right off the bat, dude, get yourself a 55. I'm like, oh, hold on a second. Let me just reach in my back pocket and pull out a 55. I mean, you understand that we do all this. There's no staff. There's no editing team. There's nothing. There's no producers. It's just me and you. It's just the other guys. We're doing this on our own. Our content gets better, and we're steering to do different things. But this whole thing where you think that like there's a crew of people here that are from the manufacturer, I wish they were paying me.
Half the time you're chasing your daughter out of the screen.
Yeah, that's why I'm in this apartment, which costs a fortune. So we are spending money to make money down the road. That is the goal. But if you see us at events or you see us with this access, it only benefits all of you guys. It benefits us to say that, hey, you want to hear about the G4? I'm not reading it off a press release. I was there. I
Right.
saw it. I talked to the engineers. Like for instance, the Sony prototype. That prototype and the 4,000 nits, we know that because we were there. We heard from the guy that knows the guy and the guy that did it about this reference monitor. It's not just
Or the side-by-side comparison with OLED that was right there, that OLED right next to
right
it, and then
there.
the Samsung Mini LED next to it. So you're able to see, oh, same content.
Yeah,
Interesting, the differences.
and it's more access, and we're not employees of a company. There's no employees. That's why I joke about him being my coworker. There's nobody here saying say these things. But we're really into it. We really enjoy it. I have passion for it. FOMO's got passion for it. So does Robert, Cecil, Brandon, KG, all these guys. We're really into it. We love doing this. But to think you're not going to get anything from it, whether it's access, for me, it's access. So I'll say it right here. For me, it's not a moneymaker. It's a money loser right now. It's about access and growing my following. And at some point, it will pay off. That's
At
really
some point.
all I can say. It'll pay off at some point, hopefully. But guys, even to say it's overnight, my channel's still very small. And it's been 6 or 7 years of doing this. And this video is 54 minutes. And I'm not going to edit it down. So in closing, FOMO, anything to say before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I think now after talking to you, I'm going to have to balance all of my hyping with the anti-hype. This TV is great, but don't forget, list all the terrible things about it so that,
exactly.
There's a certain sense of verisimilitude that this is an objective take. And maybe you're right. Sometimes you're so excited, you forget there's something wrong with it. So I'll keep that in mind.
Well, we are excited, but the fact is, as we said, if you watch a single video, you might have that take. But
that is true.
our content is organic. So you may have people say, well, you thought that was the best TV. I had somebody say to me that day, the Z2 was your best TV of all time. I mean, it was at the time. It's not this year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. I mean, they changed. Technology changes. It's like it's my favorite band. Oh, yeah, that's my favorite band. It does evolve. But if you follow us and watch our content, we do go after these companies every single stream. Every single stream we bring up where they're
better.
We just don't have to dunk on them from the foul line to do it or attack them or anything like that. It's just not our nature as people. And those are the people that I surround myself with. And saying goodbye to one of my best boys in the business, my coworker, my Shill.
Yes, my fellow Shill.
Fomo, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for this long discussion. Guys, if you're in here watching the premiere, we love you guys. Thank you for all you guys do. Check out Fomo's channel. He does have a channel.
I do.
See you guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
It's better